Welcome guys to another episode on the Extra Mile. My name is Alex and today I will show you everything that I love, don't like and really don't like about my W204 C63. But before we start with that, let's actually talk about what exactly we have here. This is a 2009 C63 which I bought with almost 100,000 kilometers on the clock from its third owner. This one is a little bit special because it does have the performance pack and the driver's package. The performance pack includes pistons, conrods and the crankshaft from the SLS engine, which are a little bit lighter and a little bit stronger, upping the horsepower to about 487. At least that is what the factory claims. It also includes a two-piece rotor, which is a little bit bigger and a little bit lighter, and the brakes are certainly one of the best parts of this car. Further additions from the performance pack include a different suspension setup, which is a little bit lower and a little bit stiffer and really very neutrally balanced. It's a great setup. The car basically does not understeer at all, although it does like to oversteer a lot. And the AMG differential at the back, which helps getting the power down to the ground and also makes oversteer a lot more controllable. The driver's package, which you can buy separately, ups the speed limit from 250 kilometers an hour to 280, which is still not even close to what the car can do, but it's better than nothing. Another thing that this car has that I'm really fond of is an AMG leather package, which we will take a look at in a second. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get right into the good things. This car features the M156 engine, which is a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8, and just saying that makes me feel good. This is an engine that will probably never be mass produced again, and it is, in my opinion, one of the best engines that AMG has ever made, especially when it sounds like this. The handling definitely was a very welcome surprise for me. The car doesn't understeer at all. It has a very grippy front end. The suspension is stiff enough so that it gives you a lot of feedback about the road without being nervous. And the car is stable at all times. Really well done by Mercedes. These brakes are pretty much perfect. They certainly are the best brakes that I've ever had on a car. Pedal pressure is ideal. They are very controllable at all times. Pedal pressure is constant no matter how hot the brakes get, and so far I have not gotten them to fade at all. Looking forward to see how they hold up on the racetrack, but so far they've been great. The interior is just a very nice place to be. The optional AMG leather pack adds a bit of leather on top of the dash and in the doors, and it just looks very good. And I gotta say, I actually prefer the clean look without the permanent center screen. Another great thing about the car is actually the stability control. We do have a three-way stability control system here. So now it is in normal mode. Let me go down to second gear and floor it. And you just heard it there. It just immediately took away the power. Let's do that again. Floor it. And it bucks down. You can clearly hear that. Now let me turn on the Sport ESP and wait until the corner is over. Floor it. You heard that, right? So it lets you play a little bit. There's a little bit more slip, and it's very noticeable. It's actually really cool when you're driving in the wet, like right now. Let me go down to second gear, do that again. Floor it. So yeah, it's really noticeable. It's a really cool thing, and the best thing about it is when I hold the button for 3 seconds, it's off completely, and it really is off. When I floor it now, it's really off. The steering, this is a really good part. The steering gives you a lot of feedback, which is quite noticeable when you get into the car after driving a more modern sports car, maybe a modern SUV. Those have electric power steering, which is usually very direct, very quick, but it does not have a lot of feel to it. This is the opposite, actually. It does have a lot of feel. It could be a little bit more direct, actually. I think that is what another thing that dates it a little bit. It could be a little bit quicker. You do need quite a bit of steering input to get the car to move. It's not super bad. It's still good. It's still responsive. But if I could change anything about the car, and we will maybe try to change that, if it is possible at all, to get a quicker steering rack, then I would yeah, increase the steering ratio a little bit so it's a little bit faster. And last but certainly not least, we have the design. In my humble opinion, I think this is one of the best looking cars that Mercedes or AMG have ever made. It might just be one of the best looking sports saloons ever made. I don't know, you be the judge of that, but I really like how this car looks. So, a lot to love about the car, indeed. But now let's take a look at what's not so great. The gearbox, it really dates the car. It is most noticeable when you get into this car in comparison to a modern sports car, that the gearbox is just a little bit slow. There are some good points about it, which we will get to in a second, but yeah, it is an automated gearbox. There's no way around that. One thing that is noticeable, for example, is we are now in comfort mode, just cruising along, and when we floor it, now we have power. So it takes about 2.5 seconds until it shifts down 2 gears until you get the full power. So that is noticeable. But the good thing about this gearbox is we do have a sport mode, which sharpens up the changes a little bit. Everything is a little bit faster, it holds the gears a little bit longer. But the really good thing about this gearbox is the manual mode. When we're in manual mode, let's go to second gear here, for example, and we hit and we hit the limiter as we did just there. You notice that it did not shift off, but it held the gear, which is extremely good for track driving, and I really appreciate that they have done it this way. That yeah, that's pretty awesome. It just sounds so good. Another not so great thing is the stereo and the entertainment system in general. I do have the big Harman Kardon stereo in here, and it does sound good, but it does not sound great. It's a little bit harsh, especially in the mid and high ranges, and I've tried to listen to music here in this car a few times, but to be honest, I rarely do that anymore, mostly because the music comes from back there. I think the stereo is just a little bit of a letdown. You can connect your phone with Bluetooth, but only for using the phone. You can stream any audio from the phone to the stereo. I do not have a digital radio receiver, which is also a little bit on the negative side. It's a decent system, but I would say it's another part of the car that dates it a little bit. Alright, so not quite perfect after all, but now let's take a look at the ugly parts. I got nothing. There's nothing ugly about this car. I know that there are YouTube videos out there. Oh, I just bought my new 2 million McLaren F2000 and this is why I hate it. But no, this is not one of those. There's nothing ugly about this car. Maybe the fuel consumption. It's really thirsty. But other than that, I can't really say that there are any huge glaring faults. You can tell that this car is now 10 years old. You can tell it through the way the automatic gearbox works and maybe the infotainment system, but that's... what can you do about that? I mean, that's normal for the time period. But yeah, no. Nothing ugly about this car. Alright guys, this is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time we will talk about the plans for modifying the car, which are quite extensive. And I hope to see you then. Have a great day guys. Bye bye.